Hey everyone, it's Beth Lewis.
And Ellie Busco.
Welcome to Unconditioned. We have created this podcast to inspire you to shed the layers of your conditioning and be unapologetically you. Step into your power and love yourself freely and fully.
We'll be sharing on so many topics, including self-love, being your true self, abuse, addiction, sex, motherhood, and so much more. It's going to get juicy.
Oh, I love it. I can't wait. We hope you enjoy this episode.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 2. I'm Ellie and this is the amazing Beth. And today we're talking about expectations. This is a topic that Beth brought to the table, and I think it's just so prominent at the moment for us and for a lot of people, and it's got my mind like whirring as well. Not just in, the first thought is like expectations of other people, but I've been thinking as well like expectations that we put on ourselves as well. So I'm really excited to talk about this today, and I'll hand over to Beth to start it off and go into that a bit deeper.
Thank you, gorgeous. I'm so excited to be here. Number 2, yay. And yeah, this topic, wow. Oh, I actually just leant forward on my chair. That's how excited I am. Everyone get ready. Big stuff coming. Yeah, expectations far out. It's something that I've done a lot of work on actually within myself. And it's literally changed my life, because I don't think many of us realize how much we put into expectations, how much power we put into expectations. And yeah, to your point, there's definitely the expectations we have in and around and for ourselves, but other people is a huge one. Other people, situations, and when you can actually really relinquish that need of when I get here, it will feel like, or if they only treated me this way, it would be okay. And, and everything around expectations pulls you out of the present moment. So I'm just going straight there.
Yeah. I even let go of any expectations today. Like I've literally just come from the gym and my face red before I jumped on here. I've literally got like my hair is wet with sweat. I haven't put any makeup on because I'm just trying to cool down. And I had this story and this expectation in my head of like, oh, I've got to look pretty or look my best for the podcast. It's being, some people will be listening to the audio of this, but some people will be watching the video. And it's like, oh, I've got to at least put some concealer and some mascara on, or dry my hair off a bit, or change out of my gym clothes. And it's like, no, you don't. I'm going to let go of that, let go of what I should look like, and know that I'm looking great, glowing after the gym anyway.
Absolutely.
And that I don't have to wear makeup all the time. I very rarely wear makeup anyway, but I had gotten in a habit this year of at least wearing concealer and some mascara if I wanted to look good, or if I was filming something or going out somewhere. And it's like, no, I'm going to, especially with the theme of this topic today, it's like, no, just show up however you want to show up. You don't have to look any certain way.
Oh my God, I love that. I seriously love that mic drop. It's so awesome, isn't it? Because I think especially as women, we are just so bloody conditioned when it comes to, oh yeah, well, we don't leave the house without putting some makeup on, or, and it comes from the generations before us, right? Like the amount of times, and especially me, far out, curly hair, come on, the amount of people that have said to me in the past before I found the curly girl method, massive shout out to those girls, oh my God. I used to hate my curls because I'd feel like a bit of a buff head, right? But the amount of people that had sort of even make comments around, God, you could at least put a brush through your hair. It's like, I can't. I like actually can't. But you kind of, I ended up straightening my hair for years because I couldn't, in air commas, embrace who I actually fucking was, because I was so conditioned and I had these expectations externally and internally around, but I have to look a certain way. I have to look groomed. I have to look pretty, exactly what you were just saying, right? And when you put all those pressures on yourself, far out, you are actually not being true to you. And you get to a point where I remember so many times through this massive personal development journey that I've been on and this growth journey that I had all these huge epiphanies and light bulb moments where I've gone, holy shit, that's not even my belief. I don't even believe that, you know, when you're going through certain circumstances and you think, oh my God, so much changed for me. And I know a lot of women will be able to relate to this when I became a mum.
Yeah.
And, you know, became a mum, and I actually couldn't straighten my hair at the time because I was very diligent with, you know, not allowed to do this, not allowed to do that. After having endometriosis and all my health issues, I was like, okay, I am definitely putting the expectation on myself that I'm going to have a healthy, beautiful pregnancy and a healthy, beautiful baby. So in that way, it was beautiful because I was just honoring, okay, let's go all in and love myself and love this baby. So yeah, stopped getting the hair straightened, embraced my curly hair and looked for different ways to do it, but looked at different products, looked at different ways to, you know, even meditate and do different things to fuel my soul with the good stuff, you know, the soul food. And long story short, it's incredible all of a sudden being out of the corporate world. So not having that, okay, well, they're the kind of people I'm working with, so I'm expected to show up like that. I got my first tattoo that was visible because I had that thing in my mind, well, shit, if I'm in the corporate world and I'm seeing clients or whatever, then it was even actually in a few contracts, employee contracts in companies that I work at, around no visible tattoos when you're seeing clients. So I always had this real thing like, but I actually really love tattoos. I'd really love to get one. And I ended up finally getting one, but I made sure it was somewhere that wasn't visible. And eventually went, fuck
You're
this.
Still holding back. You're not.
Still holding back. Exactly. And I'll never forget getting my first one actually on my ankle and meeting with my mentor the next morning for our session. And she just took one look at me and went, there she is. You're starting to embrace what actually feels true for you. Like, stop living by everyone else's rules and expectations. And you know, now I'm just kind of like a bit of a boho hippie and I actually bloody love it. It's just it's just
they wouldn't be able to hire me with my hand finger tap.
I love it.
Big one.
So beautiful.
I had an ex where there was just so many rules, and I wanted to bring this topic up actually around abuse and around, you know, controlling relationships, because there's so many women I've been talking to recently who are going through abusive, manipulative relationships. And when you're in something like that, you can be labeled as a victim, you can be labeled as weak, you can be labeled as vulnerable, or even beat yourself up and be like, why did I let this happen to myself? How could I let this happen to myself? Maybe even again, right? And there were all these rules in this relationship that I was in around, you can't get any more tattoos. It's not feminine. You can't dye your hair bright colors. I don't have fake nails. And there's ebooks on this. I don't know if I mentioned this briefly on the last podcast, but there's an ebook where this guy talks about all the red flags in women. And it was bright colored hair, tattoos, and piercings, because all of these things mean that a woman has self-expression and she's going and doing things for herself. And so an abusive man doesn't like that because he needs to control her and everything that she does and looks like and who she is. So there were things like the things I've just mentioned, what clothes I could wear, made me chuck out some of my clothes because of things they said on them that was too masculine. And just so many things like that. And, you know, you can list it now and be like, well, why the fuck didn't you just leave? Right. But it's done in a very coercive, manipulative way that wears you down over time. And it's done in a way, it's not just said, hey, don't do this, but with a story and made out like they're loving you and caring about you and wanting you to be a good person and a better person and more feminine or whatever. And it's actually, no, all this long list of rules to control you. And so whether it's someone else, whether it's an abusive relationship, whether it's a workplace that you just not in alignment with their values, whether it's, you know, parents, whether they're doing it now or from childhood, or a mentor that you don't gel with anymore, or the rules that you're putting on yourself. It's like, fuck the rules. I teach my kids, rules are meant to be broken, right? Now, some of them keep us safe and some of them are important, but other ones we are meant to bend and create our own rules, or our own, I don't even like the word rules, it's create our own values and our own priorities in life. So if you're ever telling yourself, I can't do that, or I can't do that, or I should do this, or I should do that, it's like, let go of those words. And it's like, what do you actually want to do? What would you love to do? What is that expression in you that wants to come out? Don't get a tattoo that's hidden. Get it like wherever you actually want it, right? And it might be in a hidden space, but it's like, actually don't just do the thing, fully do the thing, right? So like you said, a hidden tattoo compared to your ankle, right?
Yeah.
Or even like me dyeing my hair. Like I always used to dye my hair, and then I was blonde for a bit. And then recently I've dyed it bright colors again. But it's like, don't just dye it a pastel pink if you want the bright, hot pink, right? Which I just got it redone yesterday.
I love it. I love it.
It's like, go all in, don't half-ass things, live your life to the full and fully do the thing. If you're going to step into it, fully do it.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love that. I love that. Just like you said in our last podcast, actually, there was so much there, and I'm trying to be really present going, oh my God, that is such an awesome point. That is like so much awesome stuff there, honey. That honestly, if anyone wants to carve out that little chunk of this podcast and put that on every single morning as their inspiration for the day, that would just be bloody unreal. That was so inspiring. Absolutely beautiful. And I really want to touch on a couple of points there. And one of them that really, really struck a big heart chord for me was the telling your kids that rules are made to be broken. And I love how you break that down with some are there to keep us safe, et cetera, et cetera. And that's something that I really, really pride myself on doing with my son. I want him to be curious. You know, I want him to look at everything and say, okay, so why are we doing that? What does that mean? What's the actual purpose behind that? Does that resonate with me? And to your point exactly, and really want to reiterate that, some rules are there to keep us safe, right? Yeah. So it's not like, sure, baby, run across the road, play Frogger with the traffic, go for gold, like nothing like that. But yeah, when it comes to the big life stuff, it's so important. And I had a session with a client the other day, and it was a really, really intense session, you know, going back to the abuse stuff as well, because I have been in that situation myself also. And you know that, it's absolutely soul destroying when you're in those situations. And I love that we're sharing this, because we are two strong, vibrant, beautiful women who know who the fuck we are, but we were there. And one thing I was talking about with this client is we're in certain situations like that. And when you are running through that list, or when you're on the outside of that, right? Because I've been on the outside of it before too. And when you're listening to somebody else even talk about it, you're thinking, well, how could you be so stupid? Just don't let him do that, or don't let him tell you to do that. When you're in that situation and you're a good person and you're a natural nurturer, you naturally see the good in people. And because we are who we are, we see their potential. And those kind of people, those abusers, they're really, really good at making you believe that they're really doing the work, and that they're actually on board with wanting to improve. And they're just very, very good at what they do. So just huge validation and shout out to anyone out there who actually is in this position, because it's not something that you literally just click your fingers and go, right, I'm done, I'm out. You might decide, which is the absolute starting point, right? Your life changes in that moment where you finally go, right, stick a fork in me, I'm done. This is enough, enough's enough. Yeah. But it can be a process of the actual, okay, let's now move on, and fully embracing all of you, especially when you have been with someone that is that controlling and abusing around, you know, not letting you dye your hair, get more tattoos, throwing clothes out. You know, I've been in situations where things like that have happened, and really, the thing that really, really got me the most was insulting who I am as a person, questioning my integrity, and my intention. And I think, you know, that they really know how to beat you down, right? And beat you out of you, I think, is probably a good way to put it. And yeah, you totally lose yourself. And coming back to where, you know, I started at the beginning here, when it comes to expectations, presence is key. I've really, really come to realize how much presence means, how powerful it is. Louise Hay, I love her saying that the point of power is always in the present moment. So in my situation and situations where I've really been struggling and I've been feeling like I've completely lost myself, I may have decided that enough was enough, but I had no idea how to get myself out of that situation, because the whole staircase is too big, right? It's too overwhelming. And especially, oh my goodness, there's so many women out there in these situations that are toxic, abusive, narcissistic, just horrible. And when there's kids involved, especially, it's so hard. And then these abusers are typically very, very good at having these blow up horrendous situations. But then time passes and the wound kind of closes a little bit. It never actually closes. It closes a little bit, and you start questioning, is it really that bad? Is it me? Because they're very good at that as well, right? And you start, oh my God, because that staircase is so massive, sometimes it's just easier to go, but things are good at the moment. You know, things are moderately calm, and you let it go again instead of going, right. Exactly. So going back to the present point, if you do one thing, just one thing today, to embrace who the fuck you truly are, that's where you start. I said to this client the other day, you don't need to know. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need any of that, because when you think, and this is a perfect, you know, topic around expectations, your expectation of that outcome or your situation with where you want to end up, so much changes along the way that expectation is null and void by the time you get there anyway. So if you get so attached to that, then you're not going to take the right steps that are going to be in alignment with you. Tune in to who you are, and maybe it is just going to get a tattoo on your ankle. Maybe it is going to do a dance class, or, you know, just something, or fully embracing your truth and saying it out loud, you know, just one thing, and you just start there.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. It's like, so what was I going to say? Where do I start?
I know, it's like that, isn't it?
The present moment thing, actually. So my psychologist said to me a little while ago now, maybe a month or so ago, and this was an interesting perspective shift on presence. I believe in everything that you just shared about presence, because, you know, we both have NLP background as well, with you deal with your wounds and your stuff from the past. The past isn't true because it's your memory of it and you're not in it right now. And the future isn't true either because it's your perception of something that hasn't happened yet. So it's really important to just be present and make decisions from that place. But also, to add to that, or a different kind of perspective or addition, is that a couple of months ago, I was just all in the present moment. Let's just chill out and have fun, right? And when you're just in the present moment and like, I just want to chill out and have fun, then you're enjoying that moment. You might enjoy it through partying, or, you know, having amazing sex, or eating delicious food, or maybe even part of it is avoiding shit that you should be doing because you're just having fun in the moment, right? And so my psychologist said to me, you're great at being present, but have you thought about what you want now for the next phase of your journey? What you want for the future, what your goals are, what your vision is? And it's like, and so any time that you've been through a big life change, maybe it's the end of a relationship, maybe you've just lost a loved one, maybe you've changed jobs, started a business, maybe your business is scaling, maybe you've just had a baby, maybe you've just had surgery, like whatever the thing is, there's going to be a big identity shift, right? And it's who you're then becoming, who you want to be. And sometimes we need to just be like, fuck it. I'm avoiding my responsibilities right now, and I'm avoiding even healing and working on myself right now. I just need to chill the fuck out and like calm my nervous system down and have some fun, right? That's part of the journey as well. But if we stay in that for too long, then the house gets trashed, the income goes down, everything becomes chaos and hard to deal with. And so for me recently, I realized, okay, I've had my fun now, and fun is still a big, important part of my life, and chilling out is as well. But I'm like, okay, now reality of responsibilities, what are the things I've been avoiding? What do I need to get back on track? And so I've been doing that recently. And that all came about because I stopped kind of going on Tinder dates, and I met an amazing man. And I told him from early on, you can't tell me, no one can tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to do. It's not going to work.
Disclaimer. Yeah. If my hair's yellow, pink, purple, green, whatever, different color every day of the week.
Yeah. Oh, and he's like, you can get as many tattoos as you like. Like, I've got a heap of tattoo mates. Let's go and get tattooed together. Like, he's even like, I'll buy you the tattoo that you want when you reach your goal. I'm like, awesome, cool, thank you, nice incentive. But yeah, so he came into my life and he really grounded me, because the feminine is very flowy, and I was just going through this phase where I'm just like, I go with the flow, and having his masculine energy around, and like an actual real man, not in his ego, not pretending to be a man, not like, what you see in all these spiritual circles these days, stereotypically, or in the coaching world. He just is a man, and he doesn't have to prove that to anyone, and he's not in his ego. And so having that energy around gave me stability and structure and grounded me. And so from there, I've been getting my shit sorted. And this is a big question I've been asking myself and my clients recently. What are you avoiding? Right? It might be calling someone and apologizing to them. It might be tidying up the house or throwing some things out. It might be going and getting a tattoo or your hair colored, or doing some kind of self-care, or making a sale, or buying something that you need, right? My daughter kept telling me, I kept buying those just plastic 80-cent waters from Coles or Woolworths, and I could never find a drink bottle that was like big enough that I liked. My 12-year-old made me buy this. It's massive.
Oh, I love that.
But we were in the shops, and she's like, I was like, oh, I don't really need it. It's okay. And she's like, Mum, you've been saying you need this for ages. This is the perfect size. Look at the features of it. It's perfect for you. Just get it. And I was like, okay. How many things do we put off doing that are just as simple as that, right? Because I'll get it next time, or I've got to buy something else, or then there's this subtle undertone of, I don't deserve it, or I should buy that for myself. And I tend to overthink the $5, $10, $15, $20, $50 thing more than the $1,000 trip somewhere, or the $5,000 mentor, or things like that. Right? So yeah, I think it's really important to, yes, be in the present, but also, what do you want next? What's this next phase and part of your journey look like? And really envision that. And without the expectation of, I need to achieve this by this time. Like, yes, set the goals, but setting goals and having a plan doesn't mean that you have an expectation, and it doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to achieve it in that specific way. It just means you have some kind of control around your future. And then you just plop it out there, and you put your action steps in place and you come back to presence and you just do the things day in, day out.
Yep. I love that. That's so awesome and so empowering. And I think, yeah, it really is. It's sort of, obviously, you know, you use the word journey. It's a massive journey, and it's who you become on the journey. And what you're describing is so powerful because it incorporates, yes, have your presence and sit with that and just, you know, do whatever the hell you like. And I think that's actually a really beautiful part of healing, you know, and I know you touched on that. I think when you're, one thing I say to my clients all the time is just be gentle with yourself, you know, working specifically with mums, and I work with a lot of mums with young children, and so many of those mums just to even create or carve out 5 seconds of headspace to get themselves to a session is so massive. So I really hone in on just the be present with yourself. What do you need in this moment? And sometimes people in certain situations, that's all they've got, and that's a perfect place to start. But no, you're so right. It's like, once you do that, because I think what you're describing, I guess we can wrap up in a bit of a bow, and it really is creating space to call in your newness and call in you, as in the real you, and where am I heading now? Because I find, and you're probably the same because we're so the same on all of this stuff, when I let go, fully surrender and let go to the attachment of the outcome, the expectation of what my situation should or could look like, you know, really focusing on all the shit that you're depressed about, all the stuff that you don't have, all the stuff that you should be doing. We just should on ourselves so much, right? If you can literally just sit with yourself and meet yourself where you're at and embrace the shit. You know, I had this one client, I'll reference her again. One thing I said to her, she said she was feeling really deflated. We had, you know, these really powerful sessions leading up to this particular session. She's got a lot of aspirations with things she wants to create, et cetera, et cetera. And she started sharing about these aspirations with a few people in her network. And those people started putting their opinions and, you know, 2 cents in. And she was like, oh, okay. And you know, when that happens, where you're like, oh my God, I feel so aligned. This is definitely what I want. And you start moving towards that and you're so inspired. And then you share it with someone and they don't meet anywhere near your level of passion and enthusiasm. And you just feel really deflated. So instead of going fully into all of that and unpacking it and all the rest of it, I just said to her, just let yourself be deflated. It's okay. And I feel like that's when it's really important to be present, because you're not avoiding. So going back to what you were talking about, right? What am I avoiding? I think what we do when we're in certain situations, you know, we'll start drinking or we get super busy, right? Like you throw yourself into work or you throw yourself into even a new relationship or just whatever it is, but you just throw yourself into everything to actually avoid how you're truly feeling about something or something that you do need to do, as you said. So when you can actually just meet yourself where you're at with no expectation around how to fix it, solve it, you know, heal it, whatever, it's literally just, I'm feeling really bloody sad right now. And I'm actually going to allow myself to be here and have a massive cry. And amazing how quickly you create the space to call in the newness. And from that point, you know, what you just said around, then you start getting stuff done and it's great. And you actually called in a new person into your life who is also helping you level up in those areas and supporting you to be you. So it's amazing who you call in when you start vibrating at that energy, when you've had the time to listen. Like, it's so incredible. You know, and get the bills paid. Like, if you don't know who the fuck you are or what you're doing and everything is just overwhelming, literally just take 10 minutes to get online and sort a couple of personal admin things out. If that's where you need to start, just do that. And it's amazing what flows from that. It's, you know, it's all about shifting your energy, right? Create 100%. The space.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, you definitely, that last piece I love especially. And it's like, creating the space, just do something, because then the one thing moves on to the next and moves on to the next and creates that momentum. And it's like you're letting go of not just the expectation, but even deeper than that, or what's attached to that, is you're letting go of the judgment on yourself. You're letting go of the pressure. Because if you're like, oh, I need to do this and it needs to be done by this time, then it never happens that way, or it's like way harder or takes way more energy or way more time. Whereas if you let go of that pressure, that guilt, that emotion, and allow yourself to feel those emotions, then once you've felt it and moved through it, then the thing just gets done easily. And you're like, oh, it wasn't that hard. Why did I make it so hard in my head? Or why has this been so hard in the past? When it actually wasn't, when you're in that right energy and when you've created the space.
Yeah.
I want to share as well. So I haven't shared this with you or anyone yet. My granny died peacefully in her sleep last night. My dad sent me a text message late last night, and I wanted to bring this up because it feels like I feel sad, but I knew maybe a month or so ago that she had stopped eating and drinking. She decided she didn't want to be here anymore, that she's old and she wanted to see her husband and her sisters in heaven. She's religious and she just came to peace with that. So I think I was more upset when I knew that she didn't have long left than I am now, because I knew it was coming. I feel a bit of sadness and a bit of shock, and it's like, but it's also like a bit, I don't know, it's a weird feeling. And when I first found out that she was going to pass away soon, my first thought was, I've got to get some money together and just get over to England ASAP. And I had this thing when I first started my first business 12 years ago. I said to myself, I always want to have at least $5,000 in my bank account to be able to go back to England at any time if anything like this were to happen. Now, 12 years ago, $5,000 would have covered it. Now I have 3 kids, post-COVID times. It was going to cost me at least 10 to 15 grand to get over there. Not only would that be a bit of a hustle to get the money together and all of that, it would put me in a shitty financial position, still having to pay the rent here, rushing it, my daughter not being able to take any more time off school because she's been on a special timetable this year and now she has to be there. It would have thrown me out logistically in so many ways, which is worth it to see my granny. But she also said that, she wasn't all there. She had dementia. She didn't want people to see her how she was. She didn't want us to remember her like that. Mm-hmm. So I would have thrown myself out from an agreement and expectation I made with myself 12 years ago to, well, I have to go over. I always have to have this money in my bank account. Now I don't have $15,000 just to spend on something and still have a heap of money left over after that right now, because I've had ups and downs over the last few years, right? So then I could beat myself up and go, why don't I have that money sitting there for this? Oh, I'm a failure. I'm not good enough. I'm not where I used to be, right? But instead, I've made this logical, sensible decision of like, no, I am putting money aside right now for that, to be able to go over there next year and see my family, and the kids see their dad, who they haven't seen for 3.5 years, who lives in Portugal. But I'm not going to, on the spur of the moment, throw myself out because of an expectation and agreement I set with myself years ago, when she doesn't even care anyway. And it's sad that I haven't seen her for 4 years because of COVID and, life's shit. But also, she had family around her and she was fine and happy and at peace in the end anyway. And she had control over her death. She made that decision. I don't want to be here anymore. I've lived a good life. I've traveled all around the world. I've got beautiful kids and grandkids and great grandkids, and I'm done, and I think that's so beautiful. And so yeah, it's like we've got to release that pressure on ourselves and make a logical decision rather than making these spur of the moment decisions, spontaneous decisions. And sometimes that might have been the decision to go over there, and sometimes it's not, right? And you've got to put yourself and your family first and make the sensible decision rather than some agreement or expectation that you've put on yourself, whether now or years ago, or maybe someone else you feel like is putting that expectation on you, and make that decision from the right space.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, honey. First of all, I want to give you a huge hug because I do know that even when it is expected, you still have your moments, and grandmother, such special people and such massive influences in our life. I lost my nan a couple of years ago, and it's like, even though similar situation, we were, expecting it, but yeah. So I'm so sorry that she's. But yeah, it is also really beautiful and peaceful as well when you do know that they were ready. And that her soul will be so happy now, and she's, probably on her way up to spiritual day spa where she'll just be chilling and hanging out with her loved ones that have passed already. And I'm sure she'll come and have a chat to you when she's ready as well. But no, I really love that. It's so amazing, isn't it, how much pressure we put on ourselves because of past expectations from us, or from, so much of it can be parents or whatever. I've even had in relationships with me sort of saying, what about we shake things up a bit? Let's try do something different. Let's try and do something this way. And when people are so stuck in their rigid way of doing things, it's like, but we do it this way. And with some people, that can just become an argument. And I've always been, to our point before about kids and everything, like I want to raise my son to be like, well, nothing is set in stone. It doesn't have to be that way. What if I change today because of my journey? I'm not that person I was 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Just because I'm in a habitual, conditioned way of doing that, why am I doing it that way? I don't have to do it that way. I actually have the power to create my own rules and change my life and just freaking let it all go. Does that resonate with me anymore? No. Or as you say, in those positions, and we do obviously know that when emotions go up, intelligence goes down. And sometimes it's hard in those situations where something has happened and you are in an emotional state. It's really hard to think around the logistics and what you should be doing as opposed to what you could do. Because a lot of people in that situation would have gone, fuck it, just get to the bank, get a loan, do whatever, and put themselves into such turmoil to go and do that. And, it's just, it ends up with so many other layers of stress and all the rest of it. So I feel like a really powerful message in this is no matter what decision you make, just be fucking okay with making peace with it. Because no matter what decision you make, there may be regret that you did, regret that you didn't, issues because you did, issues because you didn't, with whatever way you go. So it all just kind of, I guess, comes back to the overarching theme of life, right? Life was never meant to be easy, and you are going to face numerous challenges and also numerous phenomenal experiences. So stop putting all of your expectations into every experience. Would be so much better if it felt great. Because I know it doesn't mean that shitty situations are all of a sudden going to sit there and go, I'm so grateful that I'm in pain right now, or I'm so grateful that person treats me like shit, or it's more about I actually just meet myself where I'm at and I fully accept every moment for what it is. I'm going to process through that and move the fuck on, basically, without expectation of what that moving on looks like.
I love that. And it's like, so 2 points I wanted to make from what you've said. There's always an abundance of money and time and energy and resources and everything you need. So it's like with that example of going back to England, I know that I saved like $3,000 in a week when I've started saving to go over there, when I decided. And And it's like, yeah, I could have got that money together. But then there's also the logistics of the kids and the time and taking time out when I was just getting my foundations back on track. And then her not really wanting to see anyone anyway. And, you know, it's like weighing up all of the things. But if something is really important to you, then you can make it happen no matter what. And it's making, like I said, making that decision either way and being okay either way. And the other point is going back to those rules as well. When we are so stuck in our beliefs and our rules, and this is the way it has to be, then you create a number of things. First, you create depression and anxiety, high levels of pressure and stress. You create sickness and illness and injury in your body, because you're holding on to all of this is the way it has to be. And then because it's like, this is the way it has to be, you're living in this little box, and you're actually got these like blindfold on, and you're not able to see, oh, this other opportunity or this other possibility or this different perspective. And the important thing is to be flexible, to be willing to change your beliefs, be willing to change the way that things have always been done, whether it's from parents, society, mentors, yourself, relationship, whatever. Like, shake things up, even if it's something as little as having different bed sheets or moving furniture around in the house, or going on a holiday to a different place, or driving a different route. Like, I always make sure that I'm like, I'll go for a walk in a different place, or I'll go and meet up with different people, or I'll go somewhere different. I'll like, on the weekend we went to a national park and went bushwalking that I've never been there before. And I'm shit scared of driving up mountains, especially when it's like just a drop off.
Yep.
I did it. And on the way back down, I was more confident and I was fine, because I put myself in that position of, oh, I'm scared right now. But I always say confidence builds with action. So you do it. You don't just think about it and go, oh, I've got to think and plan and all the ways that I can be confident. No, go and just do the thing and build the confidence. And so I'm constantly putting myself in new environments and new situations around new people and changing things up and doing different things, because that's where you start to change your life and see something different and become different within yourself as well.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. That's so beautiful. And I think, you know, there's so many beautiful things in there. And I think one of the main ones is definitely pushing past your boundaries and breaking the cycle. You know, I say to my clients a lot, you know, when they start talking, if we're talking about, okay, I'm trying to uncover with them, say it's a new mum that's going back to work. And I get this one a lot. And so many of them are like, you know, oh, I started looking on Seek and I almost threw up in my mouth because it just doesn't, I don't know how I'm going to juggle that. How am I going to go back to a time corporate role and manage family? And that just doesn't resonate with me, but I need the money. And it's like, okay, so where's the option? Where are the options here? There are so many ways that you can make money. Let's brainstorm this. You know, so just getting people out of their conditioned little box of what our parents and their parents made you believe. It's like, okay, so, you know, you leave school, you get married, you have kids, you buy a house, you always live below your means, you make sure you're putting money into your super, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, fuck that. So I've got so many of my clients out of that mentality by when they start saying, oh, yeah, but I've got to do it this way. One question I always ask them is, okay, so whose voice is that? And they're like, what do you mean? It's like, well, who told you that? And just getting them to start literally every word that comes out of their mouth, they start getting curious around, where did that comment come from? Where did that belief come from? And it's so phenomenal seeing these women all of a sudden, you know, starting their own side hustles and businesses, going into a couple of contract roles, and then tapping into that amazing feminine creative energy. You know, like when you were talking about the feminine before, actually, this was something I wanted to mention. I was listening to an awesome podcast with these two women, so amazing, Samantha Jo Harvey and Lauren, I can't remember her surname, but honestly, an awesome podcast. And they were talking about sitting in the wounded feminine, and that's when we can get really sort of stuck in too much of the softness and the flow It's kind of finding that balance with, okay, we do need some of that, the action, and, like putting that into it. And that's a really beautiful, strong feminine energy. It's owning who you are, stepping into your power, taking that action, but being creative and finding that flow. One of my mentors uses a beautiful word, which is glow, and it's growth and flow.
I love that.
Yeah, really, really cool. I think it's beautiful. And yeah, just pushing your comfort zone and getting into that real glow state of, okay, this is what my life looks like. And these are the options that I can currently see. But exactly what you just said, it's like, well, what happens if I take the fucking blinders off?
Yeah.
Wow, look at the options and the opportunities. I mean, how many mums or how many people in the world have literally gone from nothing to traveling around the world with their families? That's why I love, like, you've always been an inspiration to me with being a single mum and living in so many places and traveling with your kids. There are so many mums out there who are like, yeah, but I can't leave my husband because I wouldn't have the money, I wouldn't be able to manage on my own, and it's too hard traveling with children, and they need that stability. And you are just that shining example of, well, actually you don't. You are when you truly own who you are, and that's what you teach your children to live in state, like, how phenomenal, and what a beautiful gift to give them, that if you're in a situation that doesn't resonate with you, you find a new one.
I love that. Yes, kids need a level of structure and stability, but what you just said, I love that. Like you have that inner stability. You are the stability. Your energy, your words, your communication, your emotions. If your emotions are like all over the place and your energy is all over the place and you're a mess, then that's stable, even if you're putting them at the same time and in the same place. I love that. My eldest had been to 15 countries by the time she was 9.
Oh my goodness. That just gives me goosebumps, like, what an amazing, phenomenal experiences. It's really showing kids how life can be, because life was so made to be lived, right? And I think that's why so many people, well, I know that's why so many people around our ages, we grew up with parents who were like, oh God, having kids and mortgages and all that kind of stuff. It's like, it's all the stuff they tell you have to go and get, but then they bitch and moan about how hard it is. And it's like, okay, they actually normalize and condition you to believe that you have to go and find a job that allows you to live below your means and live a life that doesn't really mean that much and doesn't resonate with you at all, and then bitch about it. But that's just what you do. And it's like, really?
I've got a tattoo on my arm. You're not going to be able to read it, but it says, "Are we alive or just breathing?" And it's like, are you just breathing and just plodding along and getting through each day, or are you fully living? And I won't go into it too much right now, but I'm actually creating a program called Alive. And because you mentioned a few things here, it's about helping people step out of their comfort zone and building community and connecting with themselves and others. It's going to be here on the Gold Coast for anyone that's like in the surrounds, but where we do things to step out of your comfort zone, to work on your mindset without having a mindset coaching session, but actually going out and doing things and having fun and overcoming fears and doing things that maybe scare you or that you've put off because you don't believe that you deserve it, or that you have time, or that you come first. And it's like, I'm just so passionate about that, what I have on my arm. Like, are you alive or just breathing? Right? Are you saying, oh, I'll do this one day, or I'd love to do this, or I can't do this? Just fucking do it. Right?
Yep, damn straight. Nike nailed that, didn't they?
Exactly.
Best slogan ever.
And some things you can click your fingers and do right now in an instant, and other things are going to take time to build up, and that's okay. But stop putting things off, stop putting life off, and literally just go and fully live your life. And that doesn't mean you've got to go, oh, I've got to fly around the world tomorrow. It might mean that, like for me today, I made sure I got the kids ready. I then went to the gym. I'm now doing this podcast. I'm going to get a walk in today. I'm going to get a little bit more work. I don't know if my man's messaging me back, but I might be taking him lunch if he's got time. He's super busy at the moment. And it's like I have that beautiful mix each day of work, of exercise, of kids, of chill time for myself, of relationship and friends. And I might not fit all of that into every single day, but most days I have that beautiful flow with the structure around it as well. And I'm alive when I'm doing those things. I'm alive at the gym with the music pumping and people in an amazing vibe. I'm alive when I'm walking along the water or the beach. I'm alive when I'm like making food and sharing that with someone, right? I'm alive, like you can hear my voice, like sharing this now, in everything that I do. And it comes back to what you said before about that presence as well. So
yeah. Oh God, I love that. That's so beautiful. Yeah, I think the whole alive piece is so powerful, isn't it? Because we really do, like I really do see life as a gift. You know, it really, really is a gift. And, you know, without getting too woo-woo, we bloody chose to be here. You know, like when we speak to a lot of spiritual people, they all tell us that we chose to be here at this time. So when we really, really tap into that energy and own that and remember that, once you remove all the conditioned layers of, yes, but I don't like my current situation, and, you know, like get past that surface level stuff, drop deeper, and start going, okay, well, yeah, if I chose to be here, what do I want it to look like?
yeah.
You know, and I love that. I love everything that you said. And, you know, I've created my life to be quite similar now. I'm working on now removing a couple of things to create a little bit more space to call in the, you know, a bit more of the self-care elements and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been a huge shift for me after, you know, 20 or so years in the corporate world and just hustle and burnout. And getting on everyone else's goal plans instead of my own, you know, helping everyone else feel alive instead of me feeling alive. So, you know, now it's just so phenomenal. And how lucky are we to live in a world that we can actually jump onto technology so much and create businesses and work from anywhere. You know, that's why when I'm working with people, I'm like, well, what do you want to do? Let's do it. There's always a way, you know? So yeah, like I've created a life now that I can work around being a mum for my beautiful toddler, and I get to work with people and motivate people and inspire people and help them find themselves. And, you know, now that, oh, thank goodness we can start getting back into so many more live events, which is just totally my jam. I absolutely love that.
I'm going to a punk festival on the weekend and I can't
wait. Oh my God. So awesome. And yeah, like stuff like that, it's just so unreal. I'm doing my program again called Mind Gym for Mums, which is starting again next year, and so beautiful, just connecting communities and all of that. And as you say, like you can structure your day however you want it to be. You know, like I get to do this with you, which just absolutely sets my soul on fire. I love it. And, you know, work with clients and also work around a couple of other businesses that I've got as well. And it's like I've created all of that, and I'm earning just as much as I would if I was going into an office every day and selling my soul for a company that I don't really believe in. You know, and living on someone else's job plan.
Oh, I can't imagine going somewhere 9 to 5 and having to show up at those hours every day. Ugh.
Oh my God, I know. And let's be honest, it's never freaking 9 to 5. It ends up being like 7 till 7, and then you get in trouble if you're, you know, eating at your desk or whatever. It's like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah. Oh, I used to be a rebel, and just like I remember one of the last jobs I had when I was like in my early 20s. I've been in business for 12 years now, so it's been a while. And the manager used to get pissed off at me, and I'd come wearing like short little tartan skirts and like booty shorts and stuff. But the owner was fine with it. The manager just like was an old woman that was like jealous of all the young hot girls.
And conditioned to believe that girls don't dress like that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you're a slut or you're whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Label. Yep, that's it.
Yeah, it's like I'll wear what I want and I'll do what I want.
Yep, that's it. I love it. I love it.
Awesome. Well, that's been so great today. Thanks for bringing that topic. And if anyone wants to follow us, we'll have the links below for our free groups and whatever else. And feel free to reach out to either of us at any time if you have any questions or want to work with us or just want to have a chat.
That sounds amazing. Thank you so much, sweetheart. And just to finish on, when it comes to expectations, guys, the only thing you should put expectations into is being freaking true to yourself. Put that expectation on yourself and live from that space and just bloody watch what happens. It'll blow you away.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. Great way to end.
Thank you, sweetheart. I'll talk to you soon.